The combined forces then advanced until they were only 5 miles from Qingdao. The German warships were bombarding the Japanese troops fiercely and were being replied to by the Japanese squadron in the mouth of the harbor. The great waste of German ammunition led General Kamio to the opinion that the Germans did not contemplate a long siege. He then determined on a vigorous assault. Before the attack was made, he gave the non-combatants an opportunity of leaving, and on the 15th of October, a number of women and children and Chinese were allowed to pass through the Japanese lines. On October 31st, the bombardment began, and the German forts were gradually silenced. On November 2nd, the Kaiserin Elizabeth was sunk in the harbor. The Allied armies were pushing their way steadily down until, on November 6th, their trenches were along the edge of the last German redoubts. At 6 o'clock on that day, white flags were floating over the central forts, and by 7:30, Admiral Waldeck, the German governor, had signed the terms of capitulation. Germany's prize colony on the continent of Asia had disappeared. Their survivors, numbering about 3,000, were sent to Japan as prisoners of war. Japanese losses were but 236 men killed. They had, however, lost one third-class cruiser, the Takihicho, and several smaller crafts. The whole expedition was a notable success. It had occupied much less time than either Japan or Germany had expected, and the news was received in Germany with a universal feeling of bitterness and chagrin. After the Japanese capture of Kiaochau, Japan's assistance to the Allies, while not spectacular, was extremely important, and its importance increased during the last 2 years of the war. Her cruiser squadrons did continuous patrol duty in the Pacific and in the China Sea, and even in the Indian Ocean. She occupied 3 groups of German islands in the South Sea, assisted in driving German raiders from the Pacific, and by her efficiency permitted a withdrawal of British warships to points where they could be useful nearer home. She patrolled the Pacific coast of North and South America, landed Marines to quell riots at Singapore, and finally entered into active service in European waters by sending a destroyer squadron to the assistance of the Allies in the Mediterranean. But while the aid of Japan's navy was important to the Allies, her greatest assistance to the Allied cause was what she did in supplying Russia with military supplies. The tremendous struggle carried on by Russia's forces during the first years of the war prevented an easy German victory, and was only made possible through the assistance of Japan. Enormous quantities of guns, ammunition, military stores, hospital and Red Cross supplies were sent into Russia with skilled officers and experts to accompany them. In the last year of the war, Japan once more came prominently in the public eye in connection with the effort made by the Allies to protect from the Russian Bolsheviki vast stores of ammunition which had been landed in ports of eastern Siberia. She was compelled to land troops to do this and to preserve order in localities where her citizens were in danger. Upon the development of the Czecho-Slovak movement in eastern Siberia, a Japanese force in association with troops from the United States and Great Britain was landed to protect the Czechoslovaks from Bolsheviki treachery. These troops succeeded in their object, and throughout the latter period of the war kept eastern Siberia friendly to the Allied cause. In this campaign, there was but little bloodshed. The expedition